We all have, want, or think of life insurance and health insurance and auto insurance and home insurance and business insurance and long-term disability insurance. But do you have, want, or even think of cyber risk insurance? Stick around. Today, we're going to talk about that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Welcome back, everyone. My name is Elias Kinaser, and today we're going to answer the question, do you need cyber risk insurance? Part one. Now, part one, because this is going to be a series of videos dedicated to cyber risk insurance, including a podcast. So make sure you like, you subscribe, you comment. This is a very fluid topic. It's an evolving topic that I'd love to hear everyone's feedback, everyone's experience on. So make sure you hit that notification bell so that you're alerted the next time I upload a video and the next time we upload part two of this video, which is going to be a demo of a tool from one of the major cloud providers that is aiming to optimize the process of acquiring cyber risk insurance. The podcast, stay tuned to that. That's going to be with that hyperscale cloud provider, but also with one of the insurance companies, the leading insurance companies that is insuring cyber risk insurance. So we're going to be able to answer a lot more questions related to this topic. So do you need cyber risk insurance? Back to the question. The answer is, I don't know. Let's take a look. The World Bank says the digital economy is equivalent to 15.6% of global GDP, growing at 2.5 times faster than global GDP for the last 15 years. So all of these digital transformation projects that you're going through, all of the transformation that you're taking your business through, the blending of business and technology becoming indistinguishable, all of that is happening at this pace, at this rapid pace. So I'm going to flip and change the question from do you need cyber risk insurance to do you have cyber risk insurance? Because if we're doing all of this, if we know that we are moving towards a digital economy, and if today all businesses actually should have business insurance. So the question is, if we're moving at this rate, should you not have cyber risk insurance? I'm going to ask an even better question. Should cyber risk insurance become part of business insurance? Because again, if business and technology are becoming indistinguishable, then why are we distinguishing between business insurance and cyber risk insurance? Now, today, cyber risk insurance is primarily focused on security. It's actually led, for the most part, by CISOs. And it's heavily focused on all of the cyber attacks that are happening. So my question then again becomes, is this just a security conversation? Should the CISO be running the show or running this conversation? Now, it's not the CISO's fault. The CISO is simply filling a void. But again, in this digital transformation that we're going through, as the rate of this digital economy accelerates, is this just a security problem? My answer is definitively no. Security is a primary problem. It is a very heavy problem. It's a serious problem, but it's not the only problem. Cyber risk insurance should also be applied to availability. What if there's an outage? Today in your business insurance policy, there is a clause on interruption of business. Insurance companies will pay you for interruption of business that could vary from natural disasters to potentially an outage with your equipment, but there is a clause there about the interruption in business. So why are we limiting cyber risk insurance to cybersecurity risk insurance? And why are the CISOs the only ones that are leading? And it's not all of them, right? So again, the majority of these cyber risk insurance that are being issued, the majority are being led by the security team, by the CISOs, and again, not their fault, they're filling a void. But as we're moving towards this, should this topic be elevated? The answer is definitively yes. It should be elevated to the CIO. It should be elevated beyond the CIO. If you truly believe that business and technology are indistinguishable, and technology is the way that businesses are going to compete and win, then this should be an executive decision. The same people that make the decision about all the other insurances should be taking cyber risk insurance seriously. But why aren't they? Well, they're not taking it seriously because first, those people don't understand what it takes to get a cyber risk insurance. It is a very different world when you're getting cyber risk insurance. It's a different lingo, different language. In part 2 of this video, I'm going to show you a sample, a blank application for cyber risk insurance. So you can go through the questionnaire. These are very complicated questions that when you give them to the typical business person that is in charge of business insurance, this will be difficult for them to understand. Moreover, these applications are heavily influenced by security. So you'll see things like, do you have two-factor authentication enabled? Well, and they expect you to say yes or no. Well, yes, but that's not really telling the whole story. I might have two-factor authentication enabled on all my administrator accounts, but I might not have two-factor authentication enabled on all my user accounts. And you can't answer this type of question with just a yes or no. And this application has a series of these types of questions that the insurance company, the underwriting process is expecting you to say yes or no to, where in reality, the answer is significantly more complex. And again, the application process today, as it exists today, is heavily focused on security. I'm one to say that this is not just a security problem, this is also an availability problem. What if there's an outage because one of the regions went out? It might have nothing to do with a security breach, but there's an interruption in business. And if my business is going to be heavily reliant on digital, then I have to be able to be secured. I have to be able to transfer that risk, not just when there's a security incident, but when there is any kind of a business interruption incident, especially availability. Now, the state of the cyber risk insurance market is in flux right now. It is complicated, right? And it's not anyone's fault in particular. There's been such an increase in attacks that the prices to acquire cyber risk insurance have gone up. And the process is so difficult and convoluted, and it's difficult not just during the application process, right? It's not just about you filling that application. The underwriter needs a way to validate whether or not you're actually doing this. So part of the problem is filling the application. The other part of the problem is, how do I know that, what they're saying is actually true? How do I validate? How do I verify this? That's another part of the problem. All of these problems together, the complexity of the underwriting process, the verification, the validation, and the increase in attacks is causing cyber risk insurance prices to go up. And it's also causing the insurance companies to be very selective in who they are extending insurance to. And I can't really blame the insurance companies here. According to March, cyber insurance losses increased by over 96% year over year in Q3 2021. That is a staggering number. Something's gotta give. Something has to be done to help the insurance companies optimize the process, have a way to validate and verify, and make it easier for organizations that want cyber risk insurance to be able to apply for it and go through a streamlined process to achieve their end result. It's all about transferring the risk. It's all about managing the risk. So something's got to give. These insurance companies will also then sell tranches. They're also going to require insurance on the insurance. So once they get an insurance from you, they're going to sell pieces of it and start to layer the insurance so that they can spread their risk around. They're not going to be able to do this based on the current process. So what do? Well, first we have to acknowledge that this is beyond just security. Security is very important. It's a primary thing, but it's not just about security. So this has to be elevated above the CISO, to the CIO, to the executives. This has to become a business problem, not an IT problem that is delegated over to the security team. I think that is important. I also think that the market needs to evolve beyond just asking security-related questions to also asking what else could interrupt a potential digital business, like availability, for example. So there's maturity that needs to happen there. Third, there needs to be tools that come into play that help both the insurance company, the underwriting process, and also the organizations that are seeking insurance. Now, funny enough, I tried to do research with all the major cloud providers, all the hyperscalers. I couldn't find anyone except Google Cloud that actually took steps in order to push this process forward. And during this video, I'm going to invite at least AWS and Azure to take this topic seriously, to take the necessary steps, to build the necessary tools, to build the necessary partnerships, the necessary integrations to help their customers acquire cyber risk insurance, not just for security purposes, but for availability and other purposes. And I also invite them to make sure that these tools are not just for their particular clouds, that these tools can be used on premises, can be used across other clouds as well. But of the major cloud providers, I'm going to have to give significant kudos to Google Cloud for actually taking steps to make this process easier, and I'm going to outline what these steps are. Now, Google has a program called the Risk Protection Program, or RPP. Now, RPP has two main components. One, Risk Manager, which is a tool that is freely available to all Google Cloud customers that can be used to very quickly assess the security posture of your deployment on Google Cloud. Now, if I had one criticism for Google here, is that this tool is focused just on security. I'm hoping that at some point it evolves into more than just security, to availability in other areas that also need to have cyber risk insurance. Now, Risk Manager also is part of the Security Command Center, and its purpose is to facilitate the process of acquiring cyber risk insurance. Now, the second component of the Risk Protection Program is called Cloud Protection Plus. Cloud Protection Plus is done in collaboration with two insurance companies, Allianz and Munich Re. And the aim is to offer specialized, tailored terms to Google Cloud customers. It offers a modern underwriting process. So instead of filling out that long application, you are going to use Google Cloud to pass along all of the necessary information to the underwriters so that you make life easier, basically. And the Cloud Protection Plus also aim to offer personalized pricing for Google Cloud customers. So how does this process work? So step one, customers will use the Risk Manager tool to collect information about their environment, and they will pass this information over to the underwriters. That's step two. The underwriters will receive this information and will use that to begin the process of issuing, or the process of a cyber risk insurance. Now, instead of having to fill out a very extensive application with yes, no, the idea here is that Risk Manager is going to collect all of this detailed information. It's going to pass it on to the insurance company. Now, the insurance company is going to receive data that is validated by this third party. In this case, the third party is Google Cloud. Google Cloud is saying that our tool scanned the environment, and this is the security posture that this customer has. The insurance company is able to verify and validate that and use this information to issue a cyber risk policy. Now, if this sounds interesting, in part 2 of this video, we're going to do a demo of this entire process. So a demo of the Google Cloud Risk Manager tool and how you transmit this information over to these insurance companies, again, replacing the traditional application that you would have to fill out manually, answering all of these detailed yes/no questions that cannot be answered in the form of a yes/no. So if you want to watch that, make sure again you hit that like, that subscribe, and that notification bell so that you're alerted when we upload this video. Now, Google Cloud's attempt here is not perfect, right? But it's an attempt. They are the only ones that are actually trying to solve this problem, trying to streamline the process, modernize the process, give insurance companies what they need, and give the insurers, the ones that are seeking insurance, also what they need, and being that broker that is able to connect. And maybe broker is not the right word here, because Google will also work with insurance brokers. Whatever insurance broker that you're using or they've onboarded, they'll also work with them. But I'm talking here in terms of a third-party broker that is able to pass information about the environment. But there are limitations. It's not perfect. It really has some there really needs to be some improvement. For example, right now, the tool is limited to Google Cloud, so you can't scan any other cloud. You can't scan your on-premises environment, so it is very limited to just Google. Now, in a world where we're going to have to integrate with many ecosystems, right? We're going to have SaaS applications. We're going to have multiple hyperscalers, so not just Google Cloud. We're going to have Google and AWS and Azure, maybe all of them, maybe even Oracle. So there's a lot of these environments. There's the on-premises environment. There's a lot of moving parts that are happening. So the fact that this Risk Manager tool only scans Google Cloud is a step in the right direction, but it's not enough. So there's that. The other aspect, which I already mentioned, is it's focused only on security. That also needs to be expanded. And right now it's using workload metrics that are based on CIS benchmarks. So there's a lot of potential for improvements here. Again, if I'm a customer on Google Cloud, you should be able to transfer also the availability of the applications. When was there an outage? Was this outage Google's fault, or was it a misconfiguration on the customer's fault? There's a ton of information that is at Google's disposal that can be passed along to these insurance companies that would make the process of insurance significantly easier. It is important, it is crucial that we have cyber risk insurance and that we take it seriously. Now, we also have to consider that we need to start moving away from just a shared responsibility model to a shared fate model. So the shared responsibility model was built on technology, right? It was all about the risk mitigations that you can do from a technical perspective. I'm going to enable two-factor authentication. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. All of it was based on just the technical capabilities. In a shared fate environment, we want to couple what we have with shared responsibility and our ability to do risk management and transfer of risk. Hence, cyber risk insurance. So I want to be able to offload that. I want to know that if there's an outage, the shared responsibility model becomes the shared fate model because I have someone that is essentially going to have my back, is going to be able to compensate me for the outage, is going to make sure that I stay in business. These things have to now come together. The shared responsibility has to evolve into shared fate by adding cyber risk insurance. So in summary, what have we learned? Well, we've learned that the cyber insurance underwriting process is evolving. It's convoluted, it's complex, it's difficult, it's evolving, but it's absolutely necessary. In a world that's moving more and more towards digital, towards a digital economy, towards digital business, it is inevitable that we will need cyber risk insurance, and we will need all parties to come to this party. We will need the hyperscalers to be able to offer the information that the insurance companies need. We will need the hyperscalers and other providers and vendors to participate, to help the customer and the insurance company get what they need in order to move this process forward. We also have to recognize that, bad actors are constantly evolving their methods of how to harm us, which means we also need to continuously update how we protect ourselves, which in the insurance company's mind also needs a way to continuously understand what those threats are and whether or not the customer that they're insuring is taking those necessary steps. And guess what? Who is more or who's better positioned to offer this type of information, whether to the customer in terms of, hey, Mr. Customer, you need to do X, Y, and Z, and to the insurance company to say, this customer is compliant and they've done X, Y, and Z. The cloud providers are really in a very, very critical role here to offer this information. Again, whether it's on security, on availability, or all aspects of the deployment. And again, this should be extended to not just the cloud environment, but also to on-premises and other areas so that the scanning can be holistic. Now, we're never going to be able to completely eliminate risk, right? But we can certainly get risk under acceptable control. And that should be the aim of every single business as it transforms to a digital business. In closing, what did you think? Did I miss anything? What's your experience been like with this process? Have you even considered it? Do you even have cyber risk insurance? Have you had conversations on cyber risk insurance? Please leave a comment below. I'd love to have this conversation and see where everyone is at and whether or not you are thinking of cyber risk insurance. Stay tuned for part 2. Don't forget to join us for the podcast. These are going to be some fantastic videos and podcasts that we bring to this particular topic that I think is very, very crucial. Thank you so much for watching to the end. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next one.